Please welcome Splunk Senior Vice President and General Manager, Observability, Patrick Lynn.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. It's great to be here. I'm so glad you all made it back for the keynote deep dive. I'm Patrick Lynn. I'm here to welcome you to an exciting new era for observability. And let's start with a question. Why are we here? Now, with all the advances we've been hearing about in AI, right, you might be tempted to think that it's already solved all the problems that observability platforms were meant to tackle. But let me actually answer my question with another question. Are we able to answer this one? Because when something goes bump in the night, do we know what the impact is to our business? Because in observability, that's the most important question, and it hasn't actually ever changed. What has changed is how we get to that understanding. Because in the beginning, we monitored infrastructure, right? It was a useful proxy for the health of the mission-critical apps that ran on it, and by extension, the business. And so if the server was down, so was the app. And over time, we came up with great ways to improve on the scalability and performance resilience of our applications with advances in apps and infrastructure, cloud, networking, and so on, right? And so the question actually became hard to answer once again. Because if the host is down, it might just be that you were auto-scaling in anticipation of less traffic, right? And so the surface area of what we need to understand has expanded, right? And it's further contributed to by the explosion in AI. Now, how many of you are building applications that incorporate Gen AI to up-level the experience, or AI agents that autonomously tackle mundane tasks on your behalf? And the point is that we now also need to stay ahead of the new uncertainties that AI brings. Because of the quality and reliability and cost of the experience delivered that can be affected by it, and of course the safety of it as well. So let me ask again, why are we here? And it's because observability has to evolve and will evolve, not only because you need to monitor yet another stack and yet another application architecture, though that, of course, is itself tremendously important, but it's also because AI gives us a new opportunity to change the way that observability is done and what outcomes it achieves. And also because in order for it to do so, we need that new approach. And so let me explain. And let me do that by introducing, again, the topic of agentic observability. So what do we mean by that? There are three critical components for AI agentic observability. First, you need to be using AI to work smarter and faster, right? Resilience isn't just about spotting what's broken. It's about preventing impact. And today, teams can be drowning in alert storms and spending Friday nights in reactive war rooms. And that model just doesn't scale with the complexity of the environments we run or the speed with which they change. And so we need a shift to prevent fires rather than simply trying to firefight faster. With AI agents that instrument and detect and troubleshoot and even remediate, issues can be stopped in their tracks before users ever notice. And that can free engineers from the toil of all of those incidents so that they can focus on solving novel problems and building what's next. Now, secondly, we already talked about how AI needs oversight, and AI-enabled systems, they can be unpredictable. The same input doesn't always yield the same output, and so the golden signals alone, they won't catch the wrong or unsafe or costly behavior. AI, the full stack of AI, right, has to be covered by observability. The GPUs, the foundational models, the orchestration frameworks, the agents, the conversations themselves. And so we're going to need telemetry for the quality and the safety and the cost, and the alignment to the business outcomes. And that's going to be a new bar for observability. Now, finally, you will be in a much better position to make use of the above if you think about observability from a platform perspective and use it to pull together clean machine telemetry along with the user and business context. And Splunk is going to connect signals from every layer for you. The cloud-native and traditional apps, the owned and unowned infrastructure and networks, and enrich them with user experience and business performance in order to let teams cut through the noise and see the true end user and business impact and act where it matters, at a cost that's aligned to value. And this unified, business-aware data is the non-negotiable foundation. Without it, AI can't deliver real insight and won't be able to evolve with you. And so that's what we're here to do today, to pave the way for observability in the AI era. We're going to be making it easier for you to get complete visibility, correlate faster, collaborate better across every domain you can imagine, and then some. And we're not just providing a series of individual tools. We're providing a whole platform for resilience and innovation that enables you to streamline operations through tool consolidation and enables you to trust AI by monitoring both AI-driven systems as well as the AI that's powering them. And so today, I'm super excited about how we're making all this even stronger. So please help me welcome Raja and Sainas on stage. They're going to tell you about all the amazing product innovations that will make observability faster, smarter, and more connected to your business than ever before. Welcome, Raja and Sainas.
Thank you, PCL, and hello, everyone.
Hi, everyone.
So, Sainas, we are gathered in the lovely, lovely city of Boston, and you lead our AI efforts within Splunk Observability. So I suppose we're going to, at some point, be talking about how we'll use AI to bring back the glory days for the New England Patriots?
Well, I'm no football expert, but I did feed the last season's data into our AI model, and it immediately flagged the Brady departure as a critical outage. Unfortunately, I don't think any amount of AI can replace Tom Brady, Raja.
Good. So, we don't know, we think it will require a lot more than AI to help the Patriots, but we can definitely help SRE teams, developer teams, operation teams by bringing them a completely reimagined, observability experience powered through AI. And if you look at observability tools, they have been around for upwards of 2 decades. And they have gotten better during this time. But the dirty secret in our industry is that the practice of observability still remains a complex, fraught exercise. You get an observability tool, you have to instrument your applications and infrastructure to capture the right telemetry data. Then you have to set up the right monitoring posture, your dashboards, your detectors, so that you get alerted to when something is wrong in your environment. And then when something inevitably does go wrong, teams have to come in, and they are pulling together data in different dashboards, progressively narrowing the scope of investigation to get to the root cause. And it doesn't end there. You have to take remedial action, whether it's a bug fix in the application code or whether it's an underlying change in the infrastructure. In most environments, teams then have to produce an incident report for external and internal stakeholders. All of this involves a lot of human toil. Teams spend days going through these different workflows. And that is precisely what we'll be cutting down substantially with our AI efforts. We are going to evolve our AI product into a set of cooperating agents, an instrumentation agent, an alerting agent, a troubleshooting agent, a remedial action agent, and an incident report generation agent. And our AI approach, it's going to be grounded around 3 fundamental principles. It's going to be controlled. AI agents won't ever do anything that you haven't explicitly authorized them to do. Our AI is going to be transparent. So when it comes up with a root cause for a particular issue, it's going to clearly outline the steps that led it to that conclusion. And our AI is going to be extensible so that you, the human teams, you can interject at any point and you can steer the investigation into any particular direction. Now, this journey for AI, this is not new for us. We released our AI assistant earlier this year, and we have gotten a lot of tremendous feedback and engagement from all of you around that. And this effort is an extension that deeply embeds AI in those core observability workflows. And you'll see this AI capabilities across our entire portfolio, whether it's for classical 3-tier application, microservices applications, or for complex IT operations environment. But enough of me talking about this. Sainas, why don't we see this in action?
Yeah, absolutely. So for the sake of this demo, I'm an SRE with the Splunk t-shirt company. Let's roll the demo. All right, it's 8 a.m. I'm sipping my coffee and looking at what AI agents in Splunk Observability Cloud have done for me overnight. So it looks like the AI agents detected several issues, grouped alerts into incidents, and even automatically resolved some for me, so I can focus on what really matters. Let me dig into this production issue. So it looks like at 3 a.m., my website stopped loading. I can see a summary of the issue, the root cause, and my next steps. Looks like the AI troubleshooting agent gathered evidence across synthetic tests, found high memory utilization for the Kubernetes node, gathered logs and other metrics, and even traced the issues into the dependencies that show high error rate for the WebSocket service. Based on all of this evidence, it built a high confidence hypothesis, and here it is validating. And it traced the root cause into a bug in a previous code commit. All of this initiated and executed autonomously. But I can also interact with it. I can ask follow-up questions. I can even ask it to run different analysis for me. Now, instead of waking me up at 3 a.m., the AI remediation agent ran a safe temporary mitigation of a pod restart. And it even verified that my website was up and running again within a few minutes of the issue happening. Splunk Observability Cloud AI agents do the heavy lifting so the engineers on my team can focus on building, not firefighting.
Wow. Isn't that incredible? So, Sainath, when are we going to have all of this in the product?
Yeah, so what you just saw was the AI alerting agent, AI troubleshooting agent, and AI remediation agent. And in fact, we at Splunk are using some of these already. But these would be in the hands of our customers by the end of the year. So AI troubleshooting agent does iterative reasoning, pulls multiple data sources, metrics, traces, logs, to get you to the root cause. And it is a true AI native interactive experience. Now that's something to get excited about. And our agentic approach is across the entire portfolio. This is what AI troubleshooting agent looks like in App Dynamics. It summarizes issues, identifies and surfaces likely root causes, and it even gives you actionable next steps. So it ties detection to root cause across anomalies and health rule violations. And this is in production today. Now, extending our AI approach to IT ops, I am excited to announce ITSI AI-directed episode summarization. It gives you clear, context-rich summary of episodes, key events, timelines, urgency, suspected root cause. It ties detection to decision right away. And my favorite side benefit of that, all this info is available to you for your post-incident analysis. Okay, so who here hates alert noise?
I do.
Me too. That is why I am delighted to announce that ITSI Event IQ is generally available now. Thank you. I am pretty excited about that. So with ITSI Event IQ, you can now correlate alerts with AI to cut down the noise. You slash the manual effort because instead of hand-tuning rules, AI suggests interesting fields and correlation conditions. It even explains everything in plain language and gives you dynamic episodes names so you get transparency and explainability so you'll understand why certain alerts were grouped together.
Well, so you can see a ton of innovation in the product around how we are leveraging AI to bring forth a significantly better observability experience. But much like we are using AI to enhance our application, so are all of you. All of your applications are getting infused with AI agents. For those of you who attended the platform keynote earlier today, you may recall we talked about how we expect to have more than 1 billion AI agents within the next several years. All of this begs the question, how do we observe these AI agents, and what new facets of observability would you have to consider when observing these AI agents? Now, these AI agentic applications, they, of course, require a standard infrastructure stack, things like SQL databases, message queues, load balancers, and such. But they also require a specific to AI infrastructure stack. Language models like GPT, like Cloud, like Llama. You have vector databases like Pinecone and Weaviate. You have model orchestration engines like LangChain, LangGraph. And much like in our product Observability Cloud, we provide out-of-box monitoring for SQL databases, for message queues. Already in the shipping product, we provide out-of-box monitoring for this AI infrastructure stack. Now, when you get from the infrastructure to the application, we have always provided developers visibility into application code via spans and traces coming out of that. And those views, of course, they are still relevant for these agentic applications, but those views are not enough. What we need to give developers is a view into the prompts going into the models and the responses coming back and the entire sequence of those exchanges, what we call a conversation view. And that is precisely what we are building in the product. And as we have always done, the way we are capturing that telemetry is in a standards-based open way via OpenTelemetry. Now, PCL talked about how the AI applications, they are non-deterministic. You use an AI model in an application, and you feed it a system prompt to guide the application behavior. But how do you really know that the model is doing what you want it to do in the context of the application? The notion of evaluating model efficacy becomes paramount. And that is where we will be making it super easy for developers by giving them quality scores so that each prompt coming back, you can tell whether this is an hallucination, whether this is a factually incorrect response or not. And we'll take the entire corpus of responses and we'll let the human teams score them for quality. And to get scale, we will let them use other LLMs to judge the responses for quality. Now, finally, if you look at security, it's always been a top-of-mind concern for application developers. But for these agentic applications, it becomes more so. Because now you have potentially confidential data, PII data, in the form of plain text that's going to cross organizational boundaries. Now, Splunk, we have deep expertise in security and observability, and that is where we'll leverage that expertise and Cisco's broader portfolio to bring a security-oriented lens into all of these exchanges between application code and the models. And with all of that, Sainaz, why don't we see how all of this is going to look like in practice?
Yes. So AI agents are really powerful, but also very risky. Costs can spike, quality can drop, and security issues can hide in plain sight. So let's roll the demo. Here's me again, your favorite SRE at the Splunk t-shirt company, and we have just launched a flash sales campaign that we built with multiple agents with agent-to-agent interactions. In fact, I'm on call for this, and I just got paged for an issue with my application. So I come here to the AI agent monitoring view. I see all of my different agents. I see operational metrics for them. I also even see evaluation scores for quality metrics, such as accuracy and coherence. Now here, by just looking at this, I see that the campaign generator agent is having issues. It actually looks like it's unhealthy, and the quality is dropping because the factual accuracy of this is dropping. So I want to dig into this a little bit further by looking at the conversations that are specific to this agent. Here, I'm going to zero in on conversations that are low quality and high cost. Also, because we are integrated with Cisco AI Defense, I know I am protected against security issues, safety issues, and even privacy issues. Now, I need to dig into this problem a lot more, so I want to look at a specific conversation that had this issue. Here I can see the inputs and outputs to my system. I can also see the entire agent workflow, including the tool calls and orchestration. I can see in the bottom right that we are claiming to have glow-in-the-dark t-shirts, That's wrong. And on the left, I can see the reason for that. It looks like the tool call to our verifier application has failed, and therefore our system has been hallucinating this whole time. Our AI assistant is telling me the issue is with the newest update to our system prompt. Now, because I had a view into security, operations, and quality all in one place, I can now tell my team to revert back to a previous system prompt and get my sales back on track.
Wow. That is amazing. So again, when are we going to get all these exciting capabilities in the product?
Well, that is the billion-dollar question, because as you may have heard in the product keynote, 1.3 billion AI agents are projected to be in operations by 2028. But don't worry, AI agent monitoring and Observability Cloud will be in your hands this November. So stay tuned for that. Now, we heard a lot about AI applications, but what about the AI infrastructure that powers all of it? AI infrastructure monitoring and Observability Cloud gives you a single view for health, availability, and consumption of your entire AI stack. You optimize resource utilization by tracking operational metrics, token cost, GPU memory, transaction rate. You can visualize issues across your entire stack. You know what happened, where, and why, and it's all tied together to your business KPIs. It is also proactive, so you can catch issues before it hurts your users or your budget. Now, this is not limited to Observability Cloud. AI agent monitoring will be available soon in App Dynamics. This gives you visibility into the performance, cost, and quality, and you can correlate your models, AI applications, and business APIs all together. You can analyze cost and usage of AI applications to avoid surprises. Net-net, proactive health for your AI applications, clear compliance posture, and lower predictable costs.
So you can see a lot of innovation happening in the product, both around leveraging AI as well as letting you observe AI agentic applications. And this is all to ensure that with our solution, you are future-proof for the coming AI wave. Now that's about AI, but what about the here and now? How do we help you with your current day-to-day operations? And PCL, he started the session with a question, why are we here? And that's to have observability move the business. And the way we get there is to enable your SRE teams, your developer teams, your ops teams with a unified view, unified across the front end, the back end, the infrastructure, across the network, across all kinds of application infrastructure, across all kinds of infrastructure environment. And then to be able to let them tie key signals from those environments directly to business impact. Now, if you look at the true value of observability, it is unlocked when you use an observability tool to really understand how the human beings at the other end of the digital service, your users, what is their experience with the digital service. But in reality, the practice of observability is inverted. Only a few teams get to the point where the true value of an observability tool is unlocked. A lot of teams we see, they start with infrastructure monitoring. You are answering questions like, are my pods running hot? Or are they running out of memory? These are critical, necessary signals, but they are not particularly insightful for what is meaningful to the business. Now, some teams then graduate up to the application layer, and they can answer questions like, are my services experiencing high latency, or are they having high error rate? Again, extremely necessary signal, but still one step removed from true business impact. Now, the reason why a lot of teams cannot get to user signals and the tie-in to business impact, it is very complex to do so. And that is what we are simplifying. With a matter of a few clicks, we will, in Observability Cloud, let you pick key business journeys in your product, and then to be able to monitor them and be able to quantify what is the business impact when you are having an issue in there.
Yeah, that sounds great. Can we actually see a demo of this?
Absolutely. Let's roll the video, please. Your customer's digital experience can have an immediate impact on revenue. But when things break, most teams often fail to see what exactly in the business process is failing or why. That's why we build digital experience analytics in Splunk Observability Cloud so that you can quickly connect user signals to business impact. What you see here is a conversion funnel that is tracking the sale of t-shirt in an online retailer. Looks like something's going wrong with the checkout process and users are consistently dropping off at the payment step. Now, I can quickly filter to the list of problematic sessions, and I can use session replay to figure out what the users were doing before they dropped off. Now, AI helpfully has generated a summary. Looks like the payment page is taking too long to load, and the payment backend service is experiencing high latency. Now, the problem seems to have started around 7:30 in the morning, and it seems like we may have already lost $50,000 in sales. Now, in the related entities tab, I can figure out the health of the entities backing the payment service, and then I can jump into the detail tab where I can get additional context around the key metrics around user drop-off and how they have been trending over the past several days. Now, all of the data confirms what the AI summary told me. I now have a complete view of the entire issue, and I'm able to quantify the impact. I can now reach out to the appropriate development team and engage with them so that they can fix the underlying issue so as to minimize future disruptions to the business.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, this will be tremendously helpful for my product teams because it gives us visibility into end user behavior and usage.
Yeah. So, and all of this is going to be available as alpha in the product in October of this year. Again, so if you see, in a matter of few clicks, you are able to pick a critical user's journey in your application. You're able to monitor it. You're able to tie it back to what exactly is the impact to business because of that. Powerful capabilities simplified to a matter of few clicks.
That's fantastic. Awesome. All right, so we talked a lot about the business impact, but from business journeys all the way down to applications that power them, I am so excited to announce best-in-class support for 3-tier and microservices application now in Splunk Observability Cloud. We are bringing the strengths of App Dynamics and Splunk Observability Cloud together. You can monitor your business transactions, really the end-to-end flows that matter to you, like checkout or account creation. But not only that, you can connect your business impact all the way down to code-level issues, service instance issues, or even underlying infrastructure issues in the Kubernetes cluster. And this will be generally available next month. Now, we all know it's all about that database. We have always given you a view to database from application and infrastructure. But with database monitoring, now we are providing deep query insights. You can see CPU time, wait time, even execution plans. And it's all correlated with, you guessed it, your business metrics. You can uncover heavy patterns, right-size capacity, so you can cut spend without sacrificing quality and performance. And there is so much more. We're deepening our integration with Splunk Platform, with optimized Log Observer Connect for accessing Splunk Platform logs, with log-based charts in Splunk Observability Cloud, and full role-based access control integration, all managed centrally in Splunk Cloud. We're announcing also several other capabilities like application vulnerability detection in Observability Cloud and mobile session replay in Observability Cloud and App Dynamics. We're also extending more of these integrations with the Cisco portfolio, with Observability Cloud RUM integration with Thousand Eyes, and enterprise networking content packs in ITSI. So there is a lot of innovation happening here.
Now, you can see for all of the innovation that we have been bringing forth in the product over the past several years, we have been consistently recognized by the analyst community as a leader in observability. And we are incredibly grateful for that. But what is the point of even a greater pride for us is when we get to hear from you, our customers, as to how our products, our technology is making a meaningful difference in your operating environments. And to hear one such story, let's roll the video, please.
Right. So I'd like to welcome to the stage from T-Mobile, Dave Cornett, Solutions Architect. All right. All right. Dave, how's it going?
Pretty good.
Good. Thank you for joining us. So for us to get started, maybe you can share with us a little bit about your role at T-Mobile and how observability fits in.
Sure. So, hi, everybody. I'm Dave Cornett. I am the Senior Architect over Observability Tooling at T-Mobile. So my role is to advise on strategy for how we tool up for metrics, events, logs, traces, synthetics, packet capture, all the kit and caboodle that makes up the enterprise tooling portfolio.
Excellent. So a lot of ground covered there. So tell us a little bit about why observability matters for T-Mobile.
Sure. So at T-Mobile, our team provides platform, but also a center of excellence to make sure that we are training up our operations teams, that we're listening to their requirements, and that we're helping them to build the solutions that they need to proactively manage the performance of their systems, to respond to incidents and triage when there are incidents, and to do the postmortems and root cause analysis afterwards. It's the basic operations process that keeps our customers happy.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I guess all this work that these folks are doing, right? Who are the stakeholders, and what part of it sort of matters most to those stakeholders?
At T-Mobile, we've always seen really our most important business stakeholders as our customers. Since I joined in 2013, it's been part of the DNA of the company to be very customer obsessed. So to that end, our leadership right now is really lightning focused on building out digital-first, AI-enabled, data-driven, self-service experiences within our T-Life mobile app. We're doubling down on that strategy and moving from what was traditionally sort of retail and care-focused use case into building out those digital-first experiences that are always on. So moving operationally really from a place where we have maintenance windows and change freezes to the much more operationally rigorous space where we are always on. We are making sure that we just don't do downtimes anymore.
Yeah. Who does downtime, really? Right? Come on. So one of the things we mentioned this morning is that you're in the process of unifying the data and tools that you've got, right? Tell us a little bit about why that's a thing. Why are you trying to pull together the different tools?
Sure. So like at a lot of the large companies that I've talked to people from, T-Mobile, we have historically liked to joke that with observability tools, we've got one of everything, if not two or three. And it's sort of funny, but at the same time, in reality, that's a huge tax on the operations teams, especially the central SRE and ops teams that need to drive incidents. We've got teams that have really built up an amazing ecosystem of dashboards and alerts in Splunk. We have other teams that have leaned really heavily into App Dynamics. We have teams that have built up their own sort of open source stacks outside of the enterprise suite that we're pulling back in. And in the end, for the central SRE teams, the complexity there has become very difficult for them to manage. So for us, getting to the point where instead of really offering up that sort of suite of separate observability tools as a separate portfolio, trying to build a cohesive operations experience where it's really clear that you start with metrics telling you there's a problem, you inspect your traces to see where it is, right, and the logs inform. We're trying to make sure that we can double down on an OpenTelemetry first end-to-end tracing as a first-class citizen experience that our central ops teams know how to consume without having to talk to every team to figure out which dashboard is where that they're supposed to look at.
Yeah. I mean, I think that a lot of what you're talking about here is this sort of standardization of the data and the approach, right? And I think that, when we talked about it this morning, some of the reason for doing so is so that you can actually get to the point where you're using AI effectively. So tell us a little bit about how you're using AI in observability at TMO.
The agentic stuff, right, that's the next frontier, and everybody talks about that. As somebody on the ground that's really delivering value right now, I really like to celebrate some of the stuff that has hit maturity over the last 5 to 10 years in a way that we can really deliver in ways that we were talking about on stages, 5 to 10 years ago, right? So, I mean, it seems like table stakes, and it is, but anomaly detection, right, is getting to the point where it can be delivered at scale and with cardinality that we really never could deliver before. So with Splunk Observability Cloud, we are pulling in red metrics across our entire API ecosystem by tapping into our API gateways that emit OpenTelemetry data. And we can actually effectively there build detectors that detect anomalies in error rates or latency across every endpoint that matters enough to be in the API gateway, right? So that also, because we have the tagging standard associated with that OpenTelemetry data, we have CMDB IDs associated with all those endpoints, which means I can figure out, okay, this API is part of this service, which is modeled in the CMDB to this, what we call a key flow. So I can really easily go in and with that advanced anomaly detection across that vast swath of data, very quickly go in and see, do I have anomalous error rates or latency that are in some way impacting our ability to activate a phone, to upgrade a phone, to submit a payment? And that honestly blows me away that I see that happening at the scale that it happens. Because like 5 years ago, that was a serious challenge to do in the way that we do it today. The other piece of this, right, I think 5 years ago, a lot of the hype cycles were around some of the AI-based like anomaly correlation. So getting to the point where instead of just having anomalies, you could go in and have the system tell you in an automated way, these ones are probably symptoms, these ones are probably root causes. Most of the 5 years ago stuff was like on main stages and people talked about it, but it was not really, it was a cookbook mostly, and it was not necessarily delivering the value. I think the last 5 years, you've seen that really accelerate, and we're starting to see that get delivered in tools in ways that on the ground are adding a ton of value today, which is fantastic. Agentic, right, that's obviously the next frontier, and that's where all the investment is happening, and it's really exciting to see, because the promise there, the ability to automate some of the domain expertise that Central Ops relies on, gives the ability to both accelerate and insulate the operations experience so that it can be done by a smaller group of people and so that those domain experts get a chance to sleep. So
sleep is a very good thing, part of the value proposition, I think. So maybe let's turn a little bit toward the observability for the AI-enabled applications or agents. You talked about the observability, how we're using AI in it, but how about the sort of corollary of that?
Sure. So, we do have a system of AI services that we support. Because they are all new, because everything is in that space, they're being built to our new modern standard for OpenTelemetry instrumentation. All of that sends its tracing data into Splunk Observability Cloud, and we have a very sophisticated picture of the availability and performance of that AI ecosystem. But we have not yet sort of settled on a good solution for the quality of service, for the security. We have, I will say this, the OpenTelemetry instrumentation that we've gotten support from Cisco in building, the portability of that has allowed us to start looking in the market and very easily POC things, which has been fantastic. I am very excited to see it coming in as real product on the Cisco side, because obviously if we can reduce that swivel chair and again give people one picture of availability, performance, quality of service, security, and cost, that's a fantastic value add.
Absolutely. We've got a product for that. But also, I guess part of the talk track around that is in how OpenTelemetry is a standard that not only we're able to take advantage of, right, but the benefit is that there are a lot of other folks in the ecosystem who are adopting that as well. So it actually allows us to connect the dots across both the systems that you have internally as well as what the third parties are out there producing. Now, I guess if we were to then look a little bit further ahead into this agentic side of observability, if you could wave your magic wand, where would you want that to take you?
Since I first started working with observability tooling, it's almost 20 years ago now, which is kind of scary. The promise of that observability tooling has been we will empower level 1 and level 2 engineers to be able to drive incidents without having to pull domain experts onto a bridge of 50, 100, 150 people. And yet, right, those bridges persist. Yeah. Agentic AI, to my view, is really the first technology that has the ability to deliver on that promise, to not just give people sort of a central dashboard or a central view, maybe sort of correlated, saying maybe these are root causes, but to get to the point where that central ops person, who is not going to have all of the expertise, has the ability to lean on agentic expertise from AI that can go in and be a network engineer and be a Kubernetes platform admin and be a developer and go in and run the commands, do the triage, consolidate it all, and bring it back to a summary that's consumable for that level 1 engineer so that they know where the probable root cause is, what the most likely course to correct it is, and to get to the point where they know who to call in the middle of the night, again, leaving those domain experts to get a good night's sleep. That's the dream, right? And it's not here yet. It's going to be a journey to get there, but I think everybody sees the value prop of where it's going.
Yeah, 100%. I think that part of this is, like we were discussing yesterday, that when you think about the evolution of DevOps, where you put the developers on the front line so that they are there and feel the pressure of production and therefore are motivated to change their code appropriately. Now with this idea of agentic ops, now we can kind of go back in the other direction, right? And have agents as the teammates that help you out and get us back to the sleep kind of value proposition. Now, okay, so now what are all these folks going to do with all that sleep? How are you going to change the work that the team does?
So, I mean, there's fear factors around automation. I've never really been a doom and gloom guy with that. I think from my perspective, again, the AI and that agentic promise is the promise that observability tooling has been making since the very beginning. It is that promise that our central ops and SRE and level 1 and level 2 teams will finally get the insights and the data they need to drive their jobs effectively and quickly. And then that allows the domain experts, right? There is no anchor on productivity that is heavier than operational toil, right? The 2 a.m. outages, or for that matter, the 2 p.m. outages, they randomize us. They keep us from getting the rest that we need to be effective. They are the reasons that projects are hard to deliver on time. And from my perspective, it's not so much about retooling or reskilling. It's about making sure that those central SRE teams can effectively do their jobs, and the domain experts are freed up to focus on design, build, innovate, develop, right? The things that are their jobs and that they're supposed to be doing.
So we can all do our jobs, is what you're saying. Okay, well, that sounds like a great goal for us to aim for. Now, I guess when you think about all the work that you have done, you've been in the observability space for quite some time here. Can you share like an aha moment that you got, that sort of prompted you down these different paths?
I can't share the details of like specific incidents in this kind of a forum.
Everyone signed an NDA, right?
But what I will say, right? I mean, the observability tools that we support, it's like the oxygen that the operations teams breathe, right? It's their day in, day out, and I get to observe that in daily ops forums, in outage calls, all over the place, and every day I see them proactively managing their systems, responding to incidents, doing RCAs, and I get an enormous amount of pride from what our teams do to help support them through that. The closest thing I could come to a specific incident, right? It is the month of September, and for anyone that has worked in the telecom space or is just a big Apple fan is aware, right? September's a big month. There are new devices likely on the way, and the T-Mobile crew will be heading back from this conference into an operational war room footing to make sure that we are ready with our observability platforms and our operation teams have the data they need to be able to confidently work through one of those high-volume sales events. So Well,
I'm very excited to hear that because I'm due for an upgrade myself. Now, one of the things that we've talked about in some of the other keynote deep dives is the level of work we're doing with our colleagues within Cisco. So I know you're a big Cisco customer on top of all of the other Splunk, the App Dynamics, and so on. What are your thoughts on the integration work that we're doing?
T-Mobile has been a customer of almost the entirety of Cisco's observability portfolio for a large number of years, right? We had App Dynamics in place at scale before Cisco acquired them. We were a huge Splunk shop traditionally. We get a ton of value out of that product in both the operations and the security space. We had a SignalFX contract before Splunk acquired them, and Splunk Observability Cloud was born. We had a Thousand Eyes contract before Cisco acquired them. So
you're saying Cisco is following you?
Yeah, I wanted to say thank you first for making our strategy your own. And largely what I want to say, though, is I am really excited about the opportunities that come from having all of those diverse products that we get a ton of value out of individually, all within one product and engineering umbrella, focused on trying to take the best of each and create a unified experience out of it, right? I'm very excited to see some of the things that we love about App Dynamics, the business insights, the AI-driven capabilities, the database monitoring, move into Splunk Observability Cloud, see those things unify. I'm very excited to see the Log Observer Connect capabilities that connect your traces and your metrics into logs in a seamless way. That whole portfolio with Thousand Eyes starting to integrate it in as well. Candidly, T-Mobile is not there connecting all those systems where we need to be, but I see the product coming together in that way, and I'm really excited to make sure we do get there because, as I said, that swivel chair for our central ops teams is a significant pain point. So for me, that's our strategy, and I'm really excited, like I said, to see the innovations here.
That's excellent. It takes us kind of full circle back to the question about unified observability and why it matters. So I guess maybe with the last couple minutes here, we've got folks who have been working in observability as well, like you. Any kind of words of wisdom or advice based on your experience in this journey so far?
I'd say first, start with sort of developing North Star for what observability needs to look like in your organization and prioritize the path to get there. A lot of people start with infrastructure and sort of build up the stack and work their way towards business insights. T-Mobile, my journey was a little bit different. I joined 2013, and we were just coming out of an outage where we had a lot of observability data, but leadership was frustrated that through that outage, there was not a clear picture of are we healthy, are we not, are we recovered, are we not, that was at least leadership consumable. So my mission early on was to make sure that we created visibility at the service delivery level so that we could create that sort of fire bell, single pane of glass dashboard that our executive leadership, that our central SRE and ops teams could really steer the ship with to say, are we healthy? Let's make sure that we make those red lights turn green. And so we started with that sort of service delivery and business impact, and then started moving down the stack and saying, okay, we have diverse siloed things in the APM and the log collection space. Let's solidify APM with App Dynamics and start building up Splunk instead of database logging. And we sort of move the stack down to infrastructure. It can be done either way, but you need to choose a path and start to build your maturity towards that North Star. The infrastructure for us came last, and I think was also sort of confused by it happened at about the same time that infrastructure started to get infinitely more complex with containerization, hybrid cloud, partner-inclusive ecosystems. And that is where I would say the other piece of advice that I'd come with is start to really lean into some of the modern open standards for exactly those kind of environments. 5 years ago, I was one of the main people within T-Mobile telling people to stop on the open tracing, now open telemetry front because I didn't feel it was enterprise ready. We have completely shifted gears on that and are really doubling down on open telemetry to solve those problems. I believe it is enterprise ready now. What I'm seeing in Splunk Observability Cloud, what I'm seeing when I work with our partners to tell them we want end-to-end tracing even as it leaves our ecosystem, but I can do that with open telemetry because it's just W3C standards I need to tell them about, not to tell them to like adopt our tooling or do something that no partner is going to do. So like it's very exciting starting to see with open telemetry, with those open standards, that you can drive towards a full end-to-end telemetry experience that works in that hybrid cloud, partner-driven, complex ecosystem. And for Cisco and Splunk, all the contributions they've made to that environment, I'm really grateful for. And I also love the fact that you're helping us get there on the instrumentation front, because it shows me that you're confident enough to help us build portable telemetry, because you know that you'll be the right data solution for us going forward.
Absolutely. All right. Great words of advice. Thank you so much, Dave, for joining us. Please, a round of applause for Dave. All right.
Thank you.
Okay, so that was really interesting to hear about the whole journey that Dave and T-Mobile have undergone here. Now, I wanted to spend a few minutes here towards the close talking about the innovation that we're doing, not just within the Splunk team, which you've heard quite a lot about, and by the way, which we've got a ton more to talk about, just hit us on the show floor or something, but also the innovation that we're doing within our colleagues, with our colleagues at Cisco. So the first one I want to talk about is AI Canvas. This is something that got demoed last night. Hopefully you got a chance to see it. And I think that within the context of observability, the way we like to think about that is it's a way for us to add AI-enabled virtual war rooms. Okay? So what that means is that you can go from the single-player mode that you're often in when it comes to observability tooling, where you're one person looking at the information on that screen, to being able to engage your colleagues who know more about this service or that system. And together, you'll be able to get to a faster answer and also bring in the non-player characters, right? The NPCs, the AI agents who can be your teammates. Now, the second piece here is around the Cisco Data Fabric. We already talked about how this is fundamentally powered by the Splunk platform. And so with observability already integrated with and aligned with the Splunk platform, a lot of what you see us doing, the Log Observer Connect, the metrics pipeline management, these are inherently part of that architecture already. And I think as we go forward and do things like federate the trace and metric backends, that's going to help further, and you're going to see this fabric become even richer. Now, with Isovalent, which was one of the subjects of discussion on the platform side, we've actually been working with them to pull information from their agent at the eBPF level for cloud-native network visibility. So you'll be able to see, for example, inside of Kubernetes clusters, what's going on in between services without having to do a whole lot of work. And then finally, we're very excited to be partnering with the agency project. This is part of an effort within Cisco to drive open standards for observability of agentic apps. And of course, they're doing more than the observability piece. We're working with them on that. But what they're going to do with us as they extend into multi-agent scenarios is help us figure out what the right way to provide that visibility is going to be. So lots of great stuff that's coming from these sort of collaborative exercises we've got going on inside of Cisco. Okay, so I hope you've gotten a feel for the work that we're doing here today. I do want to close by acknowledging the incredible work of all of the Splunk and Cisco teams. I'm delighted to have had the opportunity to come up here and represent their work, right? And my only regret is that we're only able to show you just a smattering of the new capabilities. But if what you've seen today piques your interest, I want to invite you once again to join us on this journey with Splunk and Cisco as your trusted partner towards this new era of observability. Now, there's more, of course. Please visit us on the show floor for deep dive demos. You can also catch additional breakout sessions. And if you're interested in participating in the many alphas that we talked about today, please visit our Voice of Customer website, voc.splunk.com. Okay? All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Enjoy the rest of the show.